You are listening to the Lenny Sports Talk Show, brought to you by Goodall Lumber Skateboards, G-Wiz Computers, Brooks Running Company, and Boulder Running Company. That was Men at Work, Down Under, back on the Lenny Sports Talk Show. So we're going to go review, so Runner's World put out a Best Running Shoes of 2014. So we have the Adidas Supernova Glide 6, which I have never worn, but I know there's a huge following of Adidas Boost runners. So that's a great shoe, so go check that one out if you haven't already. These are 2014. The Brooks Pure Flow 3, great shoe, $100. I've actually run in this shoe. This shoe is fantastic. I usually use Brooks as my racing shoe. This was a racing shoe that I use for a good 10 to 15 races, and I found it to be absolutely fantastic as well. The cushioning's great for racing mostly. It's light, it's stable. Brooks Pure Flow 3. To round off the list, we have Skechers Go Run Ride 3, which was also a great shoe. I haven't run in Skechers yet, but I wanted to run in the Go Run Ultra. I heard it's really cushiony and roomy, just like the Hoka. So we'll see. And I got an Under Armour Speed Form. Never running that one's. Saucony Peregrine 4. A few other ones. I'm trying to get to. We got the Puma Fast 700 version 2. And you also had the Hoka Clifton. Now I've run in the Hoka Clifton. It's your lightest, most cushionist shoe you're going to get. So it's combining the Hoka cushioning that they usually put on their shoes with this super light upper that they made. It's like a feather. It's like 7.9 ounces. Even the size 11 that I had, I actually weighed them. So this shoe was awesome. The only drawback from this too is the sizing. Maybe if they had between a 10.5 and 11, I'd fit in that, because the 11 was, the 11, 11.5, if there was a size between there, because the 11 actually fit kind of tight, and the 11.5 fit me, yeah, but there was actually a lot of space as time went on, and I broke them in really good. So the Hoka Clifton rounds off the top here. There's a few others. Nike had one. The Pure Grit 3 just came out. Brooks came out the Pure Grit 3. They completely did an overhaul on the bottom. It wraps around all the way to the toe, around the toe. Has some really good lugs coming off there. It's a trail shoe, the Pure Grit. So it's the editor's choice of fall 2014. We also have the Rapa Nui, which I don't know if that was, it says it's one of the best running shoes of 2014. But honestly, I'm going to have to say the Conquest would beat out the Rapa Nui in my opinion. But I guess the trail runners have a lot of say on these shoes. Trail runners always, are very particular on the shoes they're wearing on the trails, because they're running in the mountains and stuff like that. So the Rapa Nui as well, the Hoka Rapa Nui. So those are the shoes that round out the top of the 2014 choice for the nicer of the running shoes that came out in 2014. So also we have the sneak peek, and this comes from Competitor Running Mag. This is the sneak peek of spring summer 2015, next year, and everyone's trying to move up to this higher cushion. Zoot is coming out with some more shoes here. 26 millimeter heel, 22 millimeter in the forefoot, which is a pretty good stack height, which is a pretty good well-cushioned shoe. You also have, this is a weird shoe. I'm not sure where, Amplify. I've never heard of them, but it's kind of separated in the middle of the shoe, so maybe you want to check that one out for grins. Ultra Paradigm 1.5 is coming out, and that has a 35 millimeter drop from heel to toe. They have a zero drop, and their stack height is 35 millimeters, so if you want to check that out. New Balance coming out with a good one. Hoka coming out with another one here. It's called the Speed Goat. Looks like a crazy trail shoe, so be on the lookout for that. And also the Mafate 4 is coming out. And it kind of has some differences. You know, the Mafate 4, it says that it's going to be a lot softer. And they actually cut out a lot of the sole in the middle of the sole to make it lighter. So we'll see what happens with that. Also the Under Armour, or I'm sorry, yeah, this is, let me see here. This is the Under Armour Fat Tire, it's called. So it looks like it has a lot of cushioning, but the stack height isn't that high, so I'm not going to say that's a promising cushioned shoe. Also, check out the Asics 33M, they'll be coming out, and the Brooks Transcend 2. Those are also highly cushioned shoes. The Clifton 2 will be coming out as well from Hoka. And that kind of rounds off the list there for running shoes. There's a hell of a lot more, but I'm not going to be able to get through all of them. So moving on now from running, we're going to switch gears here. Let's talk about the college playoff going on. Everyone's mad because TCU didn't make it and Ohio State made it. Well, yeah, of course. These people are going to pick who they want, you know, the coaches poll or whatever. So you have the computer models and some of the old BCS models coming up with TCU in the top 4, which would have been TCU, Oregon, Alabama, and Florida State all in. But the people voted, and they went ahead and put Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, and Florida State are all in there. And I think the reason for this is Nick Saban. They want a Nick Saban against Urban Meyer and a Jameson against Mariota. So they want the quarterback matchup, and they want the high-profile coach matchup. They want the universities that actually have more money up there. Urban Meyer being at Ohio State and Nick Saban being at Oregon. Not Oregon, Alabama. And then they have Winston Jameson from Florida State against Marcus Mariota at Oregon, which is going to be a great football games coming up in January. I think they play their bowl games, and then the winner of those two play the championship on January 12th coming up next year. So we'll see how that pans out. A lot of people upset that TCU, Texas Christian University, was not in there, and also Baylor was not in there. So I'm not sure, you know, what your take is on that. I don't watch that much college football, but I think they should have 6 to 8 game playoff. I think they should have started that right away. I don't believe in this 4-game system because there's going to be odd people out that are just upset. You had, I believe it was Baylor's coach that was very animated in what he was saying. He's like, well, you guys are acting like we're having a press conference like we lost. We just won the Big 12 championship. Yeah, they did. So let's congratulate them, and let's not have this big old deal about, you know, these people who are making the 4-game playoff and keeping people in, keeping people out. That's what I think too. I mean, you know, they should have done 8 teams, top 8, make a bracket like they do in March Madness. You know, that'd be so much more fun, and just play out the playoffs through December and then take them into January and then have a Super Bowl type deal at the end, or, you know, national championship type deal at the end, just like football, national NFL does. So that's what I think they should do, but, you know, it's all controlled right now. They have 4 teams that they want in there. TCU, if they would have went undefeated, they would have been in there, but they're not. Ohio State 12-1, Oregon 12-1, Alabama 12-1, Florida State 13-0. So that's what we're going to see. It's going to be Ohio State against Alabama and Oregon against Florida, and then the winners take on each other after that. So we'll see what happens with that. I think Urban Meyer, he always seems to be in the limelight of things because he's a great coach. Alabama's always in there. I don't know if they're just recruiting, they're giving these kids new cars or what, but they're up in there. So we're at almost 12:30 on the Mountain Standard Time hour here. We're going to move on now after that brief stint with college football. And we're going to be moving on to the Broncos versus the Bills. So if you want to call in, 720-386-0513 is the call-in number. Go ahead and call us up. Let us know what you felt about Broncos Bills. Manning, 14 of 20 for 173 yards, 2 interceptions, a QBR rating of 56.9. Wow. So that's what happened with Mr. Manning yesterday. Is he going to carry this type of performances into the playoffs? Does he still have what it takes to, I don't know, not choke under pressure? Will he make it to the Super Bowl? Will the Broncos win the Super Bowl? Will they even get back to the Super Bowl this year? At 10-3, top in the AFC. Back when Andy Reid was the coach over there, and how they pulled that one out. Well, Russell Wilson improvising yesterday, making spectacular plays. And I know the defense outweighs Russell's performance all the time. The Seattle defense, they just pretty much have been stomping everyone. The only points that they got yesterday was one of them was a seven-point touchdown on a block punt, which gave them a short field. And they got another touchdown after that, but that was 14 points that really shouldn't have been 14 points just on a block punt that happened because John Ryan fumbled the snap, Seattle's punter, but it should have been 38-14. Seattle dominated this game, but yeah, Russell isn't going to get as much play that he should, but he really improvises and makes ridiculous plays that it seems like they're dead. And he juked out one of the Philadelphia Eagles linemen. He was rushing him. He juked him left, juked him right, took off, threw a 20-yard pass, and the dude looked like like he was guarding a point guard, and just his ankles and knees buckled, and yeah, that was that. It was cool to see, though. That's the game I watched. So we have Seattle looking like the best NFC team, while Green Bay and Arizona hold the best records. And like I said, I don't think Arizona's that great. We'll see what happens. If they end up making it to the playoffs, like I said, I think they'll be one and done. Hopefully they don't. I'd like to see someone else. And hopefully like I was talking about with Philip, hopefully the NFC South can get their act together and come out at least 500. I mean, 6-10. I mean, that's a huge possibility. 6-10. Someone coming out of the NFC South, 6-10. Imagine that. Someone 6-10 going to the Super Bowl. What if the Saints end up? What if the Falcons end up? What if the Panthers end up winning that thing? Oh man, that'll be horrible. Maybe they should go with conferences after that. But the Patriots down the Chargers last night after they were down. We talked about that. Steelers' big win in Cincy. They scored 42 points. And Bell with 230 total yards, all-purpose yards. The Browns actually lost a heartbreaker at home against the Colts. I watched the first half of this one. And the Browns should have won this game. They had so many opportunities in the first half. Hoyer was in the red zone, or he was close to the red zone. They were inside, I believe, the 30-yard line. They were going to go for a touchdown. He threw an ill-advised pass. It was intercepted. Browns ended up getting 3. It was 3-0 for a while. They ended up getting a fumble return for a touch, or a fumble off Andrew Luck, and they scored a touchdown. It was a fumble in the end zone, recovered in the end zone. But truly, the Browns had a lot more opportunities. Their offense didn't perform that well. They maybe should have went with Manziel. Hoyer ends up with 2 interceptions, one late, where he had a chance to drive it down with 50 seconds remaining. But yeah, the Colts just wore on him. I think the Colts didn't have that much momentum in the first quarter. It was just all Browns pretty much, but the Browns couldn't punch it in. They just kept. It was an interception here. And then pretty soon it was just 3 and out both sides. 3 and out both sides. No one can get anything going. But the Browns definitely had more. Should have had more points up to that point. They were actually leading the whole way. And then they lost in the very end. Andrew Luck completed a 4th down, and then they went in for the go-ahead score. And he actually made a fantastic run, I seen him make, where he came out of the pocket, linebacker sized him up, he looked at him, juked him, faked right, came up left, juked him right, the linebacker got juked and then he ran around to the left, scored a running touchdown, which was really good. Andrew Luck's a great player. But I think that the Browns definitely could have won that game. Maybe if Manziel's in there controlling the ball more with his legs and his passes, maybe he would have been more accurate than Hoyer. Not saying that Hoyer didn't make some good plays. I mean, Hoyer makes some outstanding plays. But in this type of situation where the Browns dropped to 7-6 in a playoff race, I think Manziel would have been the better option just because Hoyer seemed like he had the life sucked out of him. He seemed very sad and that he was having the game taken away from, or the starting job taken away from him this week, and Manziel looked like more of the confident player. But yeah, that's what happened out there in Cleveland. That was in Cleveland. But yeah, I mean, with all the opportunities they had, they should have definitely done something more than that. Manziel, maybe he would have scored more. And the Panthers smoked the Saints in a shutout. Cam's big game. He had about 3 or 4 touchdowns, I believe. And there was a huge fight when Cam went in the end zone, did his Superman little thing that he does, and they end up getting this huge brawl, punches thrown, all this stuff going on. And to me, Cam Newton, you need to stop doing the Superman thing. Dwight Howard did the Superman thing. Shaquille O'Neal did the Superman thing. You need to come up with something new. But, he is Superman. He's a giant 6'5" quarterback. He ran over and threw over the Saints yesterday. But guess what? The Saints are still alive, and the Panthers are still alive. They're both, I think the Panthers are 4-8-1 right now, and the Saints are 5-8. Maybe they are 5-8, I believe. So Atlanta and Green Bay, big game tonight. Upset special, 31-24. Falcons. Now, if this happens, I'll be happy. If they don't, I don't really care. I just want someone to come out of the South that has a good record and not just makes the NFL look bad by having these sub-500 teams getting into the playoffs. Remember, Seattle did it in 2011. I was really rooting for them too, though. And then that's when the Beast Quake happened, when Marshawn Lynch ran that one of the best runs in NFL history against the Saints, and they moved on to play the Bears, and the Bears ended up beating them in the divisional round. But we'll see what happens. Aaron Rodgers, virtually flawless, 3 interceptions this year. See if he can get it to Jordy Nelson. I'd like to see how that Green Bay offense does against Matt Ryan, which has been, Falcons have been up and down as well, mostly down. They've been up sometimes. They beat Arizona. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, Kobe Bryant needs 62 points on basketball. Okay, 62 points away from Michael Jordan for 3rd all time. And I believe I talked about the Denver Nuggets. If I haven't, the Denver Nuggets lose their 2nd straight. So they'll be in Toronto. I believe they could turn it around in Toronto, the Denver Nuggets. I think they can turn this thing around. Danilo, 14 minutes, 0 points. Chandler had 29 points. I think Mozgov had a double-double. But, they're 9-11. I'm still hopeful. Their road trip is against the best Eastern Conference teams. So we'll see if Nuggets can turn around in Toronto, come home 10-11, which won't be a bad record. They'll be at home against Miami Heat coming up Wednesday. That game will be on ESPN. So we'll see if Nate Robinson didn't play in that game. Maybe he can play in the next one, because Ty Lawson played something like 44 minutes, and I don't even think had double digits in scoring or assists. So uncharacteristic of him, but definitely just a horrible shooting performance by the Denver Nuggets yesterday. They were on when football was on, unfortunately, so I couldn't watch it. But I looked at all the stats, and usually when they lose, they shoot under 40% from the field. I believe they're at 37%. And listen to this. They shot up 35 three-pointers. Maybe it was just in an effort to come back, but 35 three-pointers, that's just lazy basketball. You're scrambling. You're trying to get to the end of this game, and you're trying to catch up to these guys by the end of this game, and you start throwing up three-pointers, and you're shooting 17%. You're not making any, so why keep throwing them up? Embarrassing three-point performance, 6 of 35, 17%. by the Denver Nuggets. I think if they could just stay away from these three-pointers and stay away from these horrible first quarter, being outscored 3 quarters in the game. I don't think it's a defensive thing. They held them to 96 points, but the Nuggets just couldn't score, and this has been the theme of why they can't win over the past 3 or 4 years since Carmelo has left. When they shoot under 40%, they seem just to be pushovers. And they seem to just start shooting up threes left and right to try and catch up, and that's just not how you catch up. You gotta shoot. You gotta play fundamental basketball to catch up. You gotta get stops two, get stops two, get stops two. You can't just start chucking up threes, and those are prayers you're chucking up. So hopefully Nuggets can get it together in Toronto. I do have them winning in Toronto and flipping the script and coming home, and I do have them winning at home here in Miami, getting back to 500. So they'll be 10-11 when they come home. On Wednesday, they will play Miami on ESPN, like I said, and we'll see if they can get back to 500. And if they do, I still have high hopes for the Nuggets. Hopefully they can get in 8th, 7th, or 8th spot if they can get at least 10 games over 500. So that's the sporting news for now. A lot more scores and stuff that happened yesterday that I was unable to get to, so I'd like to thank everyone who was on the show, Philip. And I'd like to thank everyone else in the world for tuning in to the Lenny Sports Talk Show in Denver, Colorado. We are UHS World Communications. Don't forget to check out our Ustream on KUHSdenver.com. I'm always going live from events. Our next live event will be posted on Facebook or on our website. I'm going to let you know right now that I'll be live at the Winterfest 5K at 9:45 a.m. after the race. I will be giving my race report. I will be maybe talking to the winners. So don't forget that on Ustream. Go add us up there or go watch our stuff there. Also watch my kicking video. I'm going to be making the Broncos. I got signed. I'm going to be the new Broncos kicker. So be on the lookout for the alternative radio show coming up at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time with DJ Jen. She'll have a whole host of good songs and tracks and alternative and rock news for you. So be on the lookout for that. Once again, the alternative radio show by DJ Jen coming up at the news hour. The 12 p.m. hour to 4 p.m. hour. And I think it's time for me to go get some lunch, everybody. So I'll see you on Thursday. I'll be here, me and Chris Christinger. Thursday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You're listening to KUHSdenver.com, brought to you by GWizComputers.com. Once again, GWizComputers.com, Boulder Running Company, Brooks Running Company. So until Thursday, bon voyage! And have a good day, everybody. This is Maroon 5, Harder to Breathe.